So it's been a while since I've talked to you guys. Really excited about where we're at in the off-season program. This being minicamp. I think we're trying to build on a lot of the things that, a lot of the foundation that we've laid over the last 2 years. So we've got some guys who have been here and are really showing some great leadership. And we've got some new guys who've come in and kind of learned the system. But really, I would say it's more about kind of the relationship building this time of year, which I'm really excited about where that's going. And it's fun to get out here and work on the communication and the fundamentals and techniques and, some of the things that we kind of hold near and dear to us as foundational pieces to how we want to play defense and really how we want to get down as an overall team. So it's been a fun off season so far, and excited for the next 2 days. Then we take a break, come back for training camp and we start for real. So excited about it all.
Last week, Harrison Phillips was just talking about the versatility of the defensive line with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. I guess, how do you see two guys who could get into the backfield, sort of changing things from where you've been before with this D-line?
Yeah, I mean, those are two great additions. Excited to have both guys, Javon, and J.A., but also excited about, guys like Jalen Redmond who, came on really the entire year. He just got better and better day after day, week after week, and made a lot of impact for us late in the year. Levi, who's, I would say grown significantly from year one to year two. Bigger, stronger, faster, more confident. You see that on the field, you see that in the meeting room, you see that in the walkthroughs. And you combine that with kind of some of the, Harrison Phillips, the Hargraves, the Allen, but really, going all the way down to Taki and John Harris. I mean, we got a lot of guys who have played. There's, a good amount of depth in that room. We're excited about, all the pieces, and as coaches, it's just, who fits where. How do we get the most out of each individual player and the collective unit? So yeah, we're excited about all of them. Obviously, I didn't mention, Ty Ingram Dawkins. He's been a really good addition to that room as well as a young guy, picking things up quickly. We throw a lot at him early. We throw a lot at the new guys, the rookies. They've done a really good job at picking it all up and really just working towards the goal of learning the schematics, but also the fundamentals, the techniques that go within those schematics and working with one another. So that group, I'm really excited about.
Well, what stood out about the way Dallas has approached the offseason, and just kind of where have you seen the biggest growths from where last season ended to where he's at now? Yeah, I mean, Dallas, we talked a lot about him last year and his growth throughout the season last year, and he's just kind of built on that. It's nobody talks about that rookie season where you're in college and then you're training and then it's combine and then it's the draft and then you jump right in and new everything, new house, new ride to work, new everything. So he's much more comfortable, I would say, in this environment. He knows what the expectations are. He's got a high standard for himself, and that's a great place to start. But he also knows he's got to work, a significant amount to get to that standard. I think all of our guys do. And he's come in and really, gotten into a routine that's, I think going to allow him to, put his best foot forward and put himself in position to, to have the type of season that he wants to have and the type of season we want him to have. So all positive with him. Definitely some growth, or a lot of growth from his standpoint, and excited to see where this goes.
With the NFL and everyone being in such a rush to see these young rookies play, how beneficial do you think it was for Dallas to be behind those guys that he was behind last year?
I think anytime you're behind or you're with, I shouldn't even say behind, because in that room I really see it as 3 starters. So you're with two guys who are receive all the accolades and thank you. Receive all the accolades and and obviously they're good players, who've been in the league, have made a lot of plays, who are significant contributors to the team. The best thing you can do, and I think Dallas did this, is just soak up that information. And the two guys he had, they're very different. So the skills that JG has, the energy that JG brings, the skills that Ginkgo has, the energy that he brings, the different ways they contribute to the team. Dallas, is coming into his own as far as, how he's going to contribute. And it can be in a variety of ways, as a rusher, as a dropper, on the ball, off the ball, in different packages. So, we're excited about, his versatility, but also his growth. And I think being around those two, as well as, guys, the new guys we brought in, Hargrave, Allen, guys who have been around, guys who have seen, guys with Dallas's skill set, to just give them little tidbits about, even if it's just, being a pro, I think it's all good for him. And, but, I think more than any of that, it's Dallas, and his willingness and his want to put his best foot forward and put himself in good position.
Hey Brian, I don't think we've talked to you this offseason. What was it like interviewing for the 3 head coaching jobs that you did, and how did you feel that all that process went?
I thought that process, was great. Those, being able to, sit in that interview setting and have a conversation for that role is just obviously an honor. And those jobs went to guys who were, certainly, deserved. And it was good. It was a great experience. I enjoyed it. I'm also, very happy to be right where I am. It's been incredible to be here, around KO, around Kwesi, around these players, around, the Wilfs and this organization. And excited about, this year and this group. And but yeah, that was a great experience as well. But I'm very happy where my feet are.
Right, Kevin had mentioned Isaiah Rodgers is a guy that you had on your radar in terms of adding to in free agency. What do you think you've seen from him so far? And then Jeff Okudah.
Zay's been on my radar since he was at UMass. Fast playmaker. I think he's one of these kind of late round guys who found his way, in the league, has in the kicking game, and got in some games and made some plays. And I've always, thought he was a good player and was ascending. And, and the opportunity presented itself that, we could, you could maybe acquire him. I was all in, and I'm happy we got him. He's been a great addition. He's got great kind of football IQ and acumen. That's something that we've stressed really throughout the group at all levels, secondary, second level, and obviously D-line. And I think it's just a great addition. We talk about, bringing guys in who, as far as building a synergy within the group, how does this guy gonna, mesh with Murph and Harry and Telly? And he's just come in and done a great job from that standpoint. Same thing with Jeff Okudah. We haven't talked about him, but I'll, mention him. He's really come in and, similar to Zay, just, not necessarily found a role because we're not necessarily there yet, but, between lifts and walkthroughs and meetings and, trying to, build a rapport with the guys in the back end, but also the guys at the second level, and asking questions. Both guys have been, great from that standpoint. Excited about them both. I'm really excited about that entire group. We got Mekhi Blackmon back out there today. He's kind of getting himself back rounded into form. Nudie, Dwight McLaughlin, he's trying to build off of a good, almost said freshman, good rookie season. And it's a good group, and we also added guys like Ambry Thomas and Khalif and Reddy, and all these guys bring a level of, there's experience there, but also talent that can't have enough in that position.
What foster relationship building at this point in the season?
How do you foster relationship building at this point in the season?
As far as relationship building, I think it's something that's, as coaches, we talk about it quite a bit. I think that's, I think one of the main pillars, I would say, of building a successful defense is communication, and the best communicators have relationships that are built through conversation, and it's not just on the field or in the meeting room or in a walkthrough. It's in the locker room, it's over dinner, it's bowling, it's those type of fellowship events where those relationships are built, and they show up on Sundays. My hope is that we build a team that's unselfish, that is looking for not necessarily the accolades for themselves, but the accolades for the group. And if you make a play, then I'm excited, and if I make a play, you're excited, and that's something we talk about as a staff. We highlight it in the meeting when it shows up. Last year they came up with dances to build that rapport. Who knows what it'll be this year. But that energy, that vibe is something that's exciting. That's we talk about. I tell them, it's not going to come from me. That's not me. I'm going to always be, thinking about the next play. But my joy comes from watching them, have excitement, have fun on the field, and we try to build that, and we talk about it.
Brian, how's Theo Jackson been handling his role so far?
Theo's been great. And that's something we've been saying for 2 years. I think he's, steadily, built his communication skills, his techniques, his fundamentals, his disguises, his playmaking ability. He's one of the hardest workers we have. So look, it wasn't easy to let go of Beasley. He was obviously a critical piece, but we also felt confident that Theo could step into that role and play at a good clip, and he's shown that so far. Again, it's very early, and it's very early stages, but we're just constantly trying to build a foundation of communication, camaraderie, fundamentals, high football IQ, and he's there in all those areas.
With all the coverages and fronts you guys have run in the last few years, how much evolution is still possible?
I think every offseason, you look at all of it, and now we have 2 years of data. You look at the 2 years of data, what's been good, what hasn't been good, but it's also tied to the players we have. And you try new things out if based on what you predict and forecast the skill set of the player is. So we've got a couple new guys. We've mentioned Hargrave, we've mentioned Allen, we've mentioned Zay, we've mentioned Okuda. Obviously Theo's new as far as being more of a every down or playing a lot more. So what do those guys do? And we've done a lot. So how much more is there? Probably not that much. But as far as when we run a certain coverage, when we run a certain front, that can always change. So, something we did on first down, we could do on third down. Something we did on third down, we could do on first down. And so that's ever changing. But there's also things throughout the league. There's a lot of really good defensive coaches in our league. So, let's pop that tape on and see what, Vic Fangio's doing. Let's see what Spags is doing. Let's see what, those guys are doing. And if there's something that we see that we like and, we think we can implement it, let's try it out. And, if it works, maybe you'll see it in a game. If it doesn't, you probably won't see it in a game. So I think, I'm always open to that. I think we got a great staff, and, there's a lot of collaborative kind of ideas and a lot of, football chatter and conversation that happens in there, where we're throwing stuff out there and we're, can we do that? Talk to Harry, talk to Telly. Hey, can we get this checked? Can we get that checked? go up to the front and say, hey, if we line up in this front, what does that look like? What do you think? How do you think that affects them? Talk to the offensive coaches. How does that affect them? And we just put some stuff together and throw it out there. And then if we like it, we may implement it. If we don't, we move on.
Last couple.
Right, what did you see from Mekhi Blackmon in 2023 that he can now build on as he gets back on the field here?
As a rookie, you saw, the quickness, the speed, the acumen. I think he needs to build right on that. It was unfortunate, when he went down last year because he was, we were excited about, the possibility of him playing quite a bit. The way he rehabbed was, it was incredible, honestly. Just kind of watching that, and I remember we're not late in the year, but we're, October, November. He's up, he's moving around, he's training, and it was, kind of a running joke. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And now we're here, and to see him back out on the field is, really a testament to his work ethic, his want to. His belief in himself, his just his overall, ability to get back as quickly as he could and get himself out here so he could compete and do what he loves. And that's what we're looking for. I think KO said it many times. We want guys who love to play, who love the grind of it, who love the practice element, the studying element, the meeting. That's certainly Mekhi. All right, thank you guys. Good to see you, and see you at training camp.